All right, let's dive into this sports-specific mobility thing today.
Sounds good.
So we're going to like really unlock how this can boost our performance.
Yeah.
And help us avoid those like super annoying injuries.
Absolutely.
That sideline so many of us. I was just looking at all this research that you sent over, and I was so surprised to see just how much emphasis those elite athletic training programs place on this mobility stuff.
For sure.
It's clearly like not just something they tack on at the end. It's really foundational.
Right. It really is. I mean, it's been ignored for a long time. Strength training and endurance have kind of taken the front seat. But the science is clear now.
Yeah.
This mobility, it's the bedrock of athletic performance.
So it's not just about avoiding getting hurt.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
It's about getting better.
Okay.
It directly leads to better performance.
In every sport.
In every sport. So, for example, there was this study.
In the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research.
Okay.
And they found that increased hip mobility led to significant improvements.
In what?
Vertical jump height and agility.
Oh, wow.
In basketball players.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Really makes you think twice about like skipping those drills, right?
You've really got to do them.
Yeah. So how can we think about this idea of mobility in terms of specific sports? Is it really that different for a runner versus a golfer?
It absolutely is. Every sport has its own unique kind of mobility fingerprint.
Okay.
A set of demand that you need to be able to meet.
Got it.
Think about the difference between like a gymnast who needs a ton of flexibility and range of motion.
Right.
And a power lifter who needs to be strong and stable through a really limited range.
Okay.
They're totally different.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out your own mobility fingerprint?
Is it just what feels tight?
It's a little more than that.
Okay.
You have to consider the movements that your sport requires.
Okay.
So for example, a swimmer needs excellent shoulder and thoracic spine mobility for their strokes.
Gotcha.
And a tennis player needs mobile hips and ankles.
Okay.
For those quick changes of direction.
So you're kind of like reverse engineering your sport to figure out what joints you need to particularly.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting because you can tailor your training to address your specific needs.
And that's where that sport-specific mobility routine comes in, right?
Exactly.
So instead of just like doing any old stretches, we need to be way more strategic.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's not just stretching, it's about moving with purpose.
Gotcha.
You need to train your body to move efficiently and powerfully.
Through specific ranges of motion.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's get in specifics. You sent over some research that included a few exercises that kind of apply to lots of sports.
Right.
And one that I thought was interesting was this world's greatest stretch.
Oh, yeah.
What's so good about that one?
It's fantastic.
Huh?
It targets multiple areas that are crucial for athletic movement.
Got it.
So it opens up your hips, improves thoracic spine mobility, and even helps with shoulder flexibility.
I've seen that one, and I gotta say, it feels really good.
Right.
Especially after sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
So what are some other exercises that you would recommend for somebody who's trying to build a solid foundation?
All right. Well,
how the mobility works.
Standing hip cars are great.
Okay.
For improving that hip mobility and control.
Okay.
Which is essential for pretty much everything. Running, jumping, throwing.
And I bet those were helpful for people who are feeling that tightness in their hips.
If you've got a limited range of motion.
Yeah,
those are the ones to do.
Okay, cool.
Another great one is thoracic spine rotations.
Okay.
Those help to mobilize the upper back.
Right.
Which a lot of people ignore. It's super important though.
Okay.
Especially for, rotational sports, golf, tennis, baseball.
I can feel my upper back loosening up. Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So what about the lower body?
Okay.
What would you recommend for people who want to improve their ankle and foot mobility?
Yeah, so ankle rockers are really simple.
Oh, okay.
But they're so effective.
Got it.
For improving your ankle mobility and, preventing ankle sprains, when you're cutting or pivoting quickly.
I've been doing those in my warm-up lately, and I've noticed a big difference.
Well, that's good. that's good.
Don't forget about your shoulders, though.
Right.
Shoulder wall slides are great. They'll help you improve your range of motion and prevent shoulder impingement. And that's common in overhead athletes.
Oh, yeah. Volleyball players.
Right. So we've got like a good base here.
Right.
With these 5 exercises.
Exactly.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about dynamic warm-ups.
Sure.
I used to think it was just about getting my heart rate up.
Yeah.
But now I'm realizing it's so much more.
It really is.
Than that.
Yeah. The research is really clear.
Okay.
You have to tailor your warm-up to your sport.
Right.
A dynamic warm-up helps you prepare your muscles and joints for the stress that they're going to be under.
Got it.
Reduces your risk of injury.
So for our listener who's eager to actually use this stuff, what are some examples of dynamic warm-up exercises that they can try? Let's say they're a runner or a cyclist.
Okay, so for runners and cyclists, I'd recommend leg swings forward and backward.
Okay.
To loosen up those hamstrings and hip flexors.
Right.
Skips are another great option for activating the hip flexors and improving your coordination.
Got it.
And don't forget about arm circles.
Right.
To get those shoulders and upper back warm.
Those are like classics for a reason.
Right.
So what about someone who plays a rotational sport? Like tennis or golf?
So torso twists are key for warming up that thoracic spine and getting it ready for those rotational movements.
Okay.
You can also do thoracic spine cat-cow stretches.
Got it.
To further mobilize that upper back and improve your spinal flexibility.
I can see how those would be helpful for generating power.
Yeah.
And just being smooth in those sports.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about court and field sports.
Okay.
Basketball, soccer, things like that.
All right. So for those, lateral lunges are super important for athletes in those sports.
Right.
Because they're going to improve your hip and adductor mobility.
Okay.
Which is essential for those quick cuts and side-to-side movements. Adding in some light jumping can also be helpful.
Like what?
Like pogo hops or squat jumps.
Okay.
That'll activate those leg muscles and boost your explosive power.
So it's amazing how you can like really tailor the warm-up to each sport.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool. So I'm curious, based on all the research that you've done, what are some common mistakes that people tend to make?
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to mobility?
Sure.
I have a feeling that we've all been guilty.
I'm sure we have.
Of some of these.
Yeah, it's understandable, right?
Right.
We're all busy.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it feels like stretching and mobility gets put on the back burner.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling you're going to convince us to change our ways.
I hope so.
So what are those like top mobility mistakes?
Okay.
And how can we fix them?
Well, the first one, and probably the most common, is skipping warm-ups altogether.
Ugh.
People just want to get to the main part of the workout, but they're really hurting themselves.
I've been there.
Yeah.
So how do we break that bad habit?
It's simple, but not always easy. You have to warm up every single time, 5 to 10 minutes.
Got it.
With dynamic stretches that are specific to your sport.
Right.
It's an investment.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
What about the second mistake?
Okay, so the second one?
I'm guessing it has to do with recovery.
Yeah, neglecting recovery.
Yeah.
We focus so much on that intense part of the workout.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of rush off.
Right.
Without giving our bodies a chance to like repair and rebuild.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. So
what can we do? What are some simple things that we can do?
Just take 5 to 10 minutes after you're done working out.
Okay.
To do some stretching.
Got it.
Foam rolling, whatever you like to do for recovery.
All right.
Doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
Just be consistent.
I'm taking notes. So we've got skipping warm-ups.
Yeah.
And neglecting recovery.
Right.
What's that third one?
So the third mistake is ignoring imbalances. And, you know, our bodies are not perfectly symmetrical.
Right.
And certain movements or habits can create weaknesses.
On one side.
On one side.
I've definitely noticed one side always feels tighter.
Yeah.
Or weaker than the other.
Exactly.
So how do we fix that?
So the fix is unilateral drill.
Unilateral drill.
Which are exercises where you work one side of your body at a time.
Okay.
It'll help you identify and address those weaknesses.
Got it.
Create a more balanced and resilient athlete.
Wow. This is really insightful.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about how I can apply all this to my own workouts.
Yes.
This has been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
And I'm feeling super inspired to level up my own mobility routine.
Awesome.
But we've covered a lot here. So why don't we take a quick pause and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
To continue our deep dive into this sports-specific mobility stuff.
Great.
I'll be right back.
All right.
So we were just talking about those common mobility mistakes.
Right.
And I have a feeling we've all been guilty of at least one of the when we talked about.
Absolutely, it happens.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Life gets busy.
Right.
And, sometimes we got to prioritize.
You got to get the workout in, and those things kind of get pushed aside.
Yeah, but what's been so eye-opening to me is that it's not just like checking a box.
Right.
This mobility work.
It's so important.
It's really important.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
And it can make such a big difference.
Yeah.
In how we perform.
Yeah.
And how we feel.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, that brings us to recovery.
Recovery.
Right.
That word used to make me think of elite athletes in ice baths and compression boots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing that that's something we all need to prioritize.
Everybody. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It's so important.
So it's not a luxury.
No, it's a necessity.
It's essential.
When you're training, you're creating those little microscopic tears in your muscles.
Right.
Recovery helps those muscles repair and rebuild.
Gotcha.
Makes you stronger.
So it's not just about feeling less sore the next day.
No.
It's about actually getting the most out of our training.
Yeah, maximize the benefits.
So you sent over some research that highlights some recovery techniques.
Sure.
One that I thought was interesting was this child's pose with a side stretch.
Oh, yeah.
What makes this pose so effective?
So it's really gentle, but powerful at the same time.
Okay.
And it helps release tension in your back, your shoulders, and your hips.
Okay.
Those are the areas that tend to get tight.
Got it.
After you work out.
Especially if you're doing the same movements over and over.
Absolutely. And the side stretch part helps to open up your chest and improve your breathing.
Okay.
Which can also help you recover.
Amazing how something so simple can feel so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Especially after a tough workout.
It is.
I'm feeling more relaxed just thinking about it.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah. So what's another good stretch for recovery? Particularly for runners and cyclists.
Yeah, the figure 4 stretch.
Okay.
That's great.
Figure 4, okay.
Yeah, targets the hips and glutes, which are usually pretty tight.
Okay.
And if you don't address that, it can lead to lower back pain.
I've been hearing a lot about foam rolling these days.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you would recommend?
Absolutely.
And if so, how does it work?
It's fantastic for recovery.
Okay.
Because it helps release that tension in tight muscles. And it also helps improve blood flow.
Okay.
And break up any adhesions.
Adhesion.
Or knots that form.
Okay.
In your fascia.
And fascia is that?
Yeah, it's the connective tissue.
Got it.
That surrounds your muscles.
So it's kind of like a self-massage.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, nice.
You can use it on pretty much any part of your body. But common spots are, your quads, hamstrings, IT band, and calves.
Okay.
You only need a few minutes a day.
Okay.
And you'll notice a big difference.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm getting a foam roller.
Awesome.
What about those calves?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about those calves.
What should we be doing?
A simple standing calf stretch against the wall.
Okay.
Can do wonders.
Okay.
For relieving tightness.
Got it.
And, preventing cramps.
Right.
Especially after you've been running or jumping.
So we talked about the importance of warming up.
Right.
We've talked about common mobility mistakes.
Yeah.
And we've talked about recovery. Is there anything else we need to keep in mind?
Yeah. So one thing I like to emphasize is this idea of
train, like you play.
I love that.
It's about incorporating those drills and exercises that are going to mimic the movements that you'll be doing in your sport.
Oh. So if you play basketball or soccer?
Right. You could do agility drills.
Yeah.
Cone work, lateral shuffles.
Okay.
All to improve your footwork and quickness.
Gotcha. And if you're a golfer or a tennis player?
Yeah. So for those,
okay,
you could practice controlled swings with a resistance band.
Okay.
To improve your rotational mobility and power.
Swimmers might focus on
shoulder
and thoracic rotation.
Exactly.
And cyclists?
Yeah, you could try some single leg pedaling exercises.
So you're making those sport-specific movements feel natural.
You're training your body to move how it needs to move.
When you're actually competing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of become like your own mobility detective, constantly experimenting to figure out what works best.
I love that. So this has been a really fascinating conversation.
It has.
I'm already feeling inspired to level up my own routine.
Yeah.
So what's the most important thing?
Okay.
you want our listener to take away from all this?
The biggest thing is that mobility isn't just about preventing injuries.
Okay.
It's about unlocking your potential as an athlete.
Got it.
It's about moving freely, powerfully, and gracefully.
Okay.
And it's something that everyone, no matter your sport or skill level, can benefit from.
And it doesn't require fancy equipment.
No.
Or hours and hours.
You just need a little bit of effort.
Of extra training.
Yeah.
Consistently.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But I think the takeaway is clear.
Yeah.
Mobility really matters. It does by understanding what your sport demands.
Right.
And tailoring your training accordingly.
You can unlock a whole new level. A whole new level of athleticism.
Yeah.
So get ready to move better.
Yes.
Feel better.
Feel better.
And perform better.
Perform better.
Than ever before.
That's it.
We'll be right back with some final thoughts.
Okay.
And a challenge for our listener. All right, we're back.
Back again.
Ready to wrap up our deep dive?
That's right.
Into this whole sports-specific mobility thing?
It's been a really interesting conversation.
It really has.
I hope our listeners feeling ready to kind of take their mobility to the next level.
I know I am. I've been thinking about like, how I can use all this stuff for my own workouts.
Yeah.
And just like the little aches and pains that I've been kind of ignoring.
You know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Once you start understanding how important it is, it changes everything.
Yeah. You know, it's not just about pushing harder.
Right.
It's about moving better.
Exactly.
And that helps you feel better.
It does.
Perform better. Avoid those injuries.
Absolutely.
So for our listener, for someone who's been like listening to all this, taking it all in, what's like one thing they can do today?
Okay.
To start like incorporating this into their routine?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's important to start small.
Okay.
What I would recommend is just pick one thing that we talked about.
Right.
And try it before your next workout or game.
Okay.
It could be one of those dynamic warm-up exercises, a recovery stretch, even just foam rolling for a few minutes.
Right.
Just make it a habit.
I love it's about like taking action and see how it feels.
Exactly.
Once you start to feel that difference,
it's motivating.
You'll want to keep going.
For sure.
It's a journey.
It is.
Not a destination.
Right. Not a destination.
And I want to leave our listener with one final question.
Okay.
To think about.
Right.
What's one area of mobility that you personally feel like you could improve on?
Yeah.
And how do you think that would impact your athletic performance? You know, it could be hip mobility for jumping.
Right.
Ankle flexibility for balance.
For sure.
Thoracic spine rotation for a more powerful swing.
Lots of options.
We all have areas where we can get better.
We do.
And sometimes those little tweaks can make a huge difference.
A huge difference.
So there you have it.
That's it.
Our deep dive into the world of sports-specific mobility.
We covered a lot.
Mobility matters.
It does.
You know, understand what your sport demands.
Right.
Tailor your training.
Exactly.
And you can unlock a whole new level of athleticism.
That's right.
So get ready to move better, feel better,
yes,
and perform better than ever before.
We'll be here to cheer you on.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.